Welcome back. This is the third part of lecture number 1. Let's start. We don't use words like my, your, his, her, our, or their as separate words in Egyptian Arabic. Rather, we use them as endings. For example, we already know this one for my. If we have to say my mother, we'll say and add e to the end of this word. So is mother, and by adding e to the end of it, it will become my mother. Now let's talk about other words and starting with your. While using your, if you're talking to a male and you have to say your daughter, you will say bint and add ak. So it will be bintak. Bintak means your daughter. Bint is daughter, and by adding ak, it will become your daughter. And now, if you're talking to a female and you have to say your son, you will say ibn and add ik. So it will become your son, ibnik. So bintak and ibnik. There is use of your in both of these, but what makes them different is their endings. Here the ending is ak, which is used when you're talking to a male, and here the ending is ik, which is used when you're talking to a female. Also, if you're talking to a group of people and you have to say your sister, suppose, you will say ukt. Ukt means sister, and you had to add kum, and it will become uktukum. Uktkum. Here you have also used your, but now you're talking to a group of people, so the ending you will use is kum, uktukum. Now, for example, you have to say our grandfather. You know, the word for grandfather is gid, and you will have to add na at the end of it to make it gidna. Gidna. Gidna means our grandfather. If you have to say their children, the word for children is awlad, and you will have to add hum to make it their children. So it will become awlad hum. Awlad hum. Now, before discussing these two, we will learn about a rule here that if a word ends with A changes to T while adding the endings. For example, Zoga and Kidda. These end with A. So when we have to add endings to them, we have to replace this A with T. Let's try these. His wife will be Zog, and we will replace A with T and add the ending. So it will be Zogta. Zogta. If we have to say her grandmother, we'll say Gid, replace A with T and add Ha. So it will be Gidditha. So again, for my, you will use E For your, if you're talking to a male, you will use ak. For your, if you're talking to a female, you will use ik. For his, you will use oh, oh. And for her, you will add ha. And for R, you will add na. For using your, if you're talking to a group, you will use kum. And for there, you will have to use hum. So you will have to remember this table. And also, we learned that if any word ends with a and you have to add endings to them, the a will be replaced by t. For example, you have to say my wife. We'll say zog and add t. For father and brother, you have to learn the words separately. Father in Arabic is ab, and brother in Arabic is ak. You might think that if I have to write or say my father, I will write ab and add e. So it will be a b, but it's not correct. What actually is correct is abuya. And for your father, while talking to a male, you have to say abuk. And while talking to a female, you have to say abuki, not abuik. You have to write abuki. If you have to say his father, you will say abu, abu. And for her father, you will write abu ha. For our father, you will write abu na. And for your father, while talking to a group, you will say abu kum. And for their father, you will say abu hum. Same. For my brother, you will have to say akuya. And to a male, if you have to use your brother, you will say akuk. Akuk. And while talking to a female, you will say akuki. For his brother, we will write aku. And for her brother, we will write akuha. Our brother will be akuna. And while talking to a group, your brother is aku kum. Their brother will be akuhum. You can compare these two tables with what we learned previously on the previous page. We will learn the use of this is. If you are talking about a masculine noun, you will have to use the. The. If you have to use this is for a feminine noun, we will use the. The and the. Let's use this in a sentence here. This is my sister and this is my brother. First, we're talking about sister here. So we will use the. And then here we're talking about brother. So here we will use the. So this is here will be the, and while talking about brother, it will be the. Now we have to write my sister. My sister will be ukti, and my brother will be akhuya. So the ukti, the akhoya, which means this is my sister and this is my brother. You can practice the use of the and the on previous examples we just learned. You should know that there is no word for do in Arabic. So while asking questions, we simply raise the pitch of our voice at the end of the statement. For example, the bintak. Here, the means this is, and bintak means your daughter. This may seem like a statement to you that this is your daughter. But if you'll have to ask, is this your daughter? What you simply have to do is raise the pitch at the end of the statement. So what you will do is, you will say, the bintak, the bintak. So now it will be a question. Also, you should know that we use the and the for both. This is and that is. So the bintak could mean, is this your daughter or is that your daughter? Here I only told you about do, that do doesn't have a word in Arabic, but it applies everywhere, that whenever you have to ask a question, you just have to raise the pitch of your voice. You don't have to use extra words. So now let's take another example. The ibna. The means this is, and ibna means his son. This will mean, is this his son? Now we have a conversation between A and B. Let's suppose A is male and B is female. A is asking B, do you have any children? How will we convert it into Egyptian Arabic? So what we will do is, for you have, we will write anti andik, and for children we will write awlad. So this will mean you have children. But if we say it like anti andik awlad, it will be considered a question. So it will mean, do you have any children? So anti andik awlad. Anti andik awlad will mean, do you have any children? And now B is saying, yes, I have a boy and a girl. Yes means Iva, and I have a boy and a girl will be written as Anna and the world bint. Now B is also saying, this is my son and this is my daughter and you. So this is my son will be da. Da will be written for this is, and my son will be ibni, and for and we will write v, and this is my daughter will be the binti. And now she's asking, and you? That will be v anta. Anta is you. If she was talking to a female, it would be v anti, but she's talking to a male, it will be anta. And now A is replying back with Iva, which means, yes, I have two boys. I have will be Anna and the. Anna and the. And for two boys, we will write Walad and. So A is saying Anti andik awlad, which means, do you have children? And B is replying Aywa ana andi wald bint, which means, yes, I have a boy and a girl. B is also saying da ibni wadi binti wa anta, which means, this is my son and this is my daughter. And you? And A is replying back with Aywa ana andi walad n, which means, yes, I have two boys. Now let's see some sentences over here and try to convert them into Arabic. If you have to ask a male, do you have any siblings? You will say Anta andak, which means you have. You have. Anta andak means you have, and the word for sibling is ikhwat. So you should remember, ikhwat is for siblings. So if you raise the pitch of your voice and say Anta andak ikhwat, this will mean, do you have any siblings? And now if you have to ask the same thing to a female, you will just replace anta with anti and andak with andik, which will be anti andik ikhwat. Anti andik ikhwat. Now let's see the next example, which is, this is my husband. This is will be da, because we're talking about a masculine noun here, which is husband, so we will use da and not the. So it will be da zogi. Da zogi. Zogi means my husband. This is my wife. For this is, we will use here the, because we are talking about a feminine noun here. So it will be zogti. We know for wife, we have a word zoga, but we will replace this a with T and write zogt. And for my, we will add this E. So it will be my wife, zogti. The next example is this is our grandmother. This is will be the. Our grandmother will be kiddit na. You will have to add na for our. Another example is that your sister? How do you say, is that your sister? For is that, you will write the same, the, and your sister will be uktak. You'll have to add ak if you're talking to a male. And if you're talking to a female, you will say the uktik. We will use the in both sentences because we are talking about sister, which is a feminine noun. But since we are talking to a male here, we will use uktak, and here we're talking to a female, we will use uktik. I want you to try these examples on your own, and these are your answers.